Well, it's hotting up in here and we're nearly ready to paint. I just hope I don't get any paint on my best chair. Bye, Trekkie. So he's ready to go in. I've got my specialist press tool. We're just going to knock it in. Just little sharp chocks with a bit of wood. And that is perfectly in. Well, after spending most of my bank account at Chain Reaction Cycles, we have some mail. Let's see what's inside. Just unboxing the mail. Oh, what's this? Oh, a 20p pack of Haribo, and I've only spent 900 quid with them. What a deal. Well folks, we've got a few parts down here to be starting with. There's the bike. We got some work to do. So this little fella's a bit long on the new frame, so we gotta make the hacky on the job. So we've cut the forks to the right length, which basically consists of building up the top of your steerer tube as you want it, and then marking the top of the tube, and then cutting it approximately 3mm too short effectively. So what I've done is I've built it up, tightened the top cap, and then I've tightened this stem up just to hold it, and then I'm just making sure it hasn't moved up and eaten into that gap, because if this cap is pressing on the tube rather than the stem or spacer, you basically haven't got a tight head tube potentially. So it's important to just check that this is inset by at least a couple of millimeters. So we got a nuke-proof 40mm stem on there. A bit shorter than the old one, because this bike was a bit long in the reach for me on the 60mm. I've also got some nuke-proof Horizon carbon bars. Nice touch from nuke-proof here. We've got these two little lines that line up perfectly, so it's really easy to get them bang on in the middle. My first ever carbon bars. Nice. I'm pretty sure they're the cheapest carbon bars you can get, but carbon nonetheless. So I've just spent the last 10 minutes trying to get the right side of the bottom brackets in the left side. Turns out the L means left and the R means right. Who knew? I was convinced I'd got paint in the threads inside the bottom bracket, so I was WD-40ing and scraping and cleaning, and it turns out I'm just a moron. Well folks, the bottom bracket's in, and we've got some cranks on. Whoa. Look at those babies, so shiny. A little bit more progress. We have a drive ring fitted, 30 tooth, and an XT derailleur. Well, it's 9:30 on a Thursday night, and we're spending it building wheels. Spank wheels. With nice new rims and my old Hope hub, which has had a new bearing in it. Our new rims all built up. Just got our new XT 11 speed cassette on. A ratchet on that. So, morning folks, it's Saturday morning now. And this is how the bike looks currently. We've got a back wheel and a back disc. And I've just put this front wheel on off my old bike with a disc on it, because I'm going to look at setting the brakes up in a minute. we've got some nice new SRAM codars. I've heard they're quite bad to bleed, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I can get them nice and solid. So when you're installing all these components, especially safety critical ones like these, it's very important that you don't let your coffee go cold, because it's so easy to get distracted when you're doing things like this, and then before you know it, you've got tepid coffee, and it's just not good. It can ruin a build, to be honest. It's really terrible. So, we got the brakes on just slightly for now till we get the final position on the bar. Turns out they're pre-bled, pre-fluided, well obviously you couldn't bleed them without fluid in, and I've not intercepted the system, so basically they work already. So, update on the back brake fitting. As you can see, it's not fitted. We've got internal routing on this bike, so it basically needs to come in there and come out here. So we've opened up the system. I've got the caliper wedged vertically so that the air comes to the open side, so fluid doesn't come out and air doesn't go in, to help with bleeding. I've cut the end off this end so it can be threaded through the frame, and I'm going to try and keep this high to prevent any fluid coming out and air going in, to help with bleeding. So this is where the work stand really comes into play, because we've got plenty of height below the bike to keep the caliper low while we thread the pipe through the frame. So in theory, minimal air should get into the system. So for such a crucial job as threading brake pipe through the frame, we need a tape that's up to the job. Now I have this special super sticky foil tape. It's actually what they use to hold rockets together at NASA, so I bought it direct from NASA, so it's not actually available on the market. It's £1,000 a roll. It's definitely not made by Ultra. It's definitely not for building, but yeah, it's a really good strong tape. So hopefully it's gonna do the job. So you know how I was saying it's a really good strong tape. Apparently not strong enough, because that's what I pulled out, and that's not the SRAM brake. So attempt 2. I'm sure there's probably a really great tool that you can get for threading pipes through frames. It's probably really cheap, it probably makes it really easy, but here we are. So I've got a bit of metal pin inside them to join them together a bit stronger, and we've put some more rocket tape on, so hopefully it pulls through the frame this time, or I'll be mad. Well folks, it's worked! We've got the rear brake hose through, and handily I've got this nicely positioned smoke alarm to keep the top of the pipe nice and high. It seems like it's quite a bit too long as well, so I'm going to put the caliper on, check it for length, and we might need to cut it down. So rear brakes all on. We got a bit of air out of it in the reservoir. It feels quite a firm handle and it's stopping the wheel at the moment, but proof of the pudding will be in the riding. If it's not quite right, we might have to get it bled professionally, because I haven't got the proper kit for it, but we'll see how it goes. It might be alright, because I didn't let too much fluid out and it was pre-bled when it came, so hopefully it'll be alright. We've got my old HT Components ME3 pedals going on now. These are off the old bike, so they're a bit worn. I'm going to get some studs for them at some point, and I've given them a little bit of a wash. We'll get these tightened on, and then we'll be able to do the drivetrain. So we now started fitting the gear shifter. So I got the new shifter all set up and indexed. Seems to be working pretty good. We've just fitted this old seat to the top, basically because it's the only seat I have. Well, there is another one, but this one's comfier, despite it looking a bit shabby. It'll do for now. Because my rim packed rim insert hasn't come yet, I've just put an inner tube in this for now with a bit of tape just to protect it from the spoke holes. Just as a temporary thing, just to get the bike riding so I can sort of fine tune everything. And then when the rim pack comes, we'll whip it off, put the rim pack in and go tubeless. Right folks, we've chucked my old front wheel on and we've been for a test drive. And that's a 29er wheel. I'm going to build a 27 for it because I want to bring that front end down a bit. Because it's a bit too slack at the moment and it makes it feel a bit big, the wheel, so that 1/2 inch might help. The back brake feels a bit spongy and shit, so we've probably got air in that, so I'll see if I can get a couple more bubbles out of it, but probably gonna have to buck it in for a proper bleed at some point. Other than that, there's a lot of potential with this bike. So we've swapped those round, got them in a bit better place, feels loads better like that. We put a couple of little stickers on around here just to keep the pipes off the frame. Try and keep paint rub to a minimum, so there's one round there, two round there even. And yeah, I think we've sorted the back brake. I pushed the pistons back in because one side was just stuck out, so I pushed them back in. Got a load more air out of here, and yeah, it feels a hell of a lot better. I've just been out doing a few wheelies, or attempting to, getting a bit of a feel for the bike, and it feels good. So I'm gonna start building my front wheel now. So we got a front wheel built together, just using the Park Tool truing stand just to try and get it something like straight, and then we'll be putting a tyre on it and putting it on the bicycle. Well, I think that'll do, like. So the wheel's all true and built, and we've wrapped him in a bit of nuke-proof rim tape to create a nice seal on the spoke holes and whatnot. And we've got these nuke-proof valves to fit. So we got our tyre nearly ready to rumble. We've got a bit of sealant chilling in the bottom there. I just like to paint a bit of the rim. Helps it slide over the tyre, and it also helps form a bit of a seal on the rim. I'll probably paint around the valve on the inside as well, and I'll be ready to fit the tyre. So we got the tyre on. I've given the wheel a quick wipe of all the excess sealant. Well, got that off so it doesn't mark the wheel and stain it. So we're going to try and get some air in now, see if we can get it to blow up and seal. So we put the tyre on late last night. It's now the next morning and it's still solid, so that's always good. So we're going to get the brake disc off the old 29er wheel, put it on there, and then we're going to go for a ride and see what it goes like with the 27 on the front. There's the bike chucked in the back on our way to Hopton. So here's the build spec. If anyone's interested, pause about now. Otherwise, thanks a lot for watching the build video.